Good morning. This is Rochester Speaks. I'm Kevin Gillen, and everyone knows of the American Red Cross and their role in helping out after disaster strikes. But the Red Cross also supplies over 40% of the nation's blood, teaches skills that save lives. They provide international humanitarian aid, and they support military members and their families, and a lot more. And they have a festival coming up, too. We are joined this morning by the CEO of the Greater Rochester chapter of the American Red Cross, John Buttrill, and Assistant Director of Regional Marketing and Communications, Erin Caldwell. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, how long have you been CEO?
It's about 8.5 years now, Kevin.
And how long with the Red Cross in general?
Well, actually, I started as a CEO. I was a volunteer for many, many years prior to that, 25 plus years, and it's a second career. I started out as a banker in life.
In Rochester?
In Rochester, yes.
So you're from here.
Yes.
And what do you like about the city? What do you love about the city of Rochester? I'm asking everybody I'm talking to this year what you love about the city.
I love the convenience of getting around. I have family and friends in other major metropolitan areas, and it takes an hour to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And here it takes 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I can go across county in 20 minutes. It's great.
I always thought it was so cool that you could go from an urban environment to farmland in 15, 20 minutes, you know? And a brief synopsis, John, if you could, of Red Cross history. I know Clara Barton. I remember that from second grade, maybe.
Well, did you know that Clara Barton started the Red Cross right here in upstate New York? She founded the first chapter in Dansville, New York.
Oh, really?
And a couple of months after doing that, came up to Rochester and founded our chapter. So we're the second oldest chapter in the Red Cross system.
See, I don't remember that from second grade. So thanks. So she was kind of an upstate New York gal?
Well, she was actually from New England, but had moved to the Washington area, but she went to the spa in Dansville. She was spending time recuperating from a trip to Europe and helping out with war victims there, and she was recuperating in Dansville when Congress passed a law saying that the United States would participate in the Geneva Conventions, that peace treaty, and that allowed us to join the International Red Cross movement. And so in 1881, when that happened, she was in Dansville and she started a chapter.
What would you say she did in life?
She was about helping people who were either victims of disaster or war. Started out as victims of war in Europe. The International Red Cross would help injured soldiers or civilians that were injured. And when the Red Cross began, we supplied the first Army nurses. In the Civil War, she helped out during the Civil War a little bit, but it was mostly after that. And through World War I, all of the nurses at the Army hospitals were Red Cross nurses.
Oh, wow.
In World War II, the armed forces started their own nurse crew, and we helped out with other services to the soldiers in the field.
Okay, so she had a lot of nursing background then.
She was a nurse by training, and then she just started responding to disasters through the Red Cross in this country.
And how many chapters of the Red Cross are there now nationally?
About 700 across the country.
And you said Rochester is actually the second oldest?
Yes.
Oh, wow, cool.
That's right.
And you've been over at 50 Prince Street, it seems like forever, haven't you?
Well, since 1969. That's when that building was built and opened.
Right. So the Red Cross it's a not-for-profit organization, and you depend a lot on volunteers.
Absolutely. We have about 40 paid staff in our chapter, and we have over 2,200 volunteers that help us. When that fire occurs at 2 a.m. in the morning, the Red Cross vehicle that arrives there has volunteers that help that family out.
And in the city of Rochester, in the Rochester region, you respond to what, actually over a fire a day?
Over a fire a day, about 380 a year, and 85% of those occur within the city limits of the city of Rochester.
So what kind of qualifications are needed to volunteer at the Red Cross?
Well, just a willingness to help out, because we have many different volunteer opportunities. If you're responding to fires, you have to be in good health, and we provide training. But we have other volunteer opportunities where someone can help us make phone calls, help in the office, or help with blood drives.
And they can get information about volunteering, actually take the first step by going online, correct?
Yes, you can go to rochesterredcross.org.
And you have information sessions, volunteer information sessions?
Yes, or we'll actually just make an appointment with an individual to come in and talk about it.
So the Red Cross also, they shelter, feed, and provide emotional support to victims of disasters. I mean, you're talking about everything from hurricanes, tornadoes.
Or a local house fire, right?
Yeah.
In our area, we basically see house fires and localized flooding. Occasionally, a microburst like occurred in Seneca Falls just a couple of days ago. We actually opened a shelter after that occurred and fed about 30 families. They didn't stay overnight, but we'll respond to any form of disaster.
Right, and also if there's something huge, say 9/11, Red Cross people from all over the place descended on New York City.
Exactly, and for Katrina and any disaster, we're sort of a mutual aid society. When the local chapter can't handle it all, we go to the adjacent chapters, and then we just expand out as far as we need to. And with something like 9/11, we had people coming from all over the country to help out.
And has Rochester ever had a big enough disaster where people were pulled in from other Red Cross chapters?
Well, not in modern history,
Yeah.
I would say. Well, before the Mount Morris Dam was built, the Genesee River would flood pretty severely about every other year, and downtown Rochester would be underwater.
Okay.
So the Red Cross would swing into action when that happened, and we'd feed people and house them, and we would get help from surrounding communities.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the ice storm was mainly trees and homes that were damaged.
We did have a few people come in because we opened shelters during that time frame, and because some of our volunteers were affected, we needed help, but it was not a large number, but some people from around New York came in to help out.
And talk a little bit about the John Street location out in Henrietta.
Well, that's where we collect and process blood. That facility processes all the blood that's collected in New York State and parts of Pennsylvania. Because of economies of scale in blood processing, our blood regions are larger than our chapter regions.
Okay.
So it's a large operation. They process over 400,000 units every year.
And isn't that one of the largest ones in the country?
I think it's our second largest processing center.
Yeah, well, that's pretty impressive. And also impressive, too, I know some statistics that the last year you held over 200,000 blood drives, over 3.5 million people donated blood, over 9 million blood products provided for patients at nearly 3,000 hospitals across the country.
Yes.
That's a lot of product.
Well, here's another historic fact for you. The first civilian blood center in America, Red Cross Blood Center, was started right here in Rochester.
Wow.
After blood began to be collected during World War II, a Red Cross physician discovered how to separate plasma from the rest of blood, and that was used for wounded soldiers, and because it had a longer shelf life, we could actually transport it to Europe and the Pacific. And after the war, it was decided we should have civilian blood banks, and Rochester was picked by the American Red Cross to open the first blood center.
So we have a lot of unique history with the Red Cross.
We have a lot, and as far as blood goes, then the first apheresis center, which is apheresis is a process of separating elements of the blood, components of the blood, so that you could use one element for one patient and another part of it for another patient. That process, that first apheresis center began here in Rochester.
Wow, very impressive. And Aaron, how long have you been with the Red Cross?
Going on about 2 years now.
And what does your job entail? You just kind of promote what you guys do?
Yep, I'm in charge of all the marketing, the branding, advertising, communications.
And what do you love about Rochester? You from here, or?
I'm not from here. I'm from Orleans County originally, actually.
Okay.
So I'm from the area, but I think probably the best thing about Rochester is the history. I'm a huge history fan, and there's a lot to be had here. So.
Yeah, there's a lot to be proud of in Rochester.
There is.
And you have the second annual Red Cross Festival, which is coming up Saturday, June 16th from 1 to 6. And it's actually over on Prince Street.
Yeah, we have it right on our campus. We clear the parking lot and put up some tents the day before and just kind of fill the lot with people.
Yeah, it's cool because, I mean, looking at the stuff you're going to have going on that day, it's hard to believe that you can fit it all in there.
Once you get all those cars out of there, there's more room than we thought.
Right. And what's included for people if they want to buy a ticket and help out the Red Cross?
Well, if you want to buy a ticket pre-sale, it's $20.
Okay.
You can buy it online at rochesterredcross.org. And what's included in the price, you get free parking, unlimited food, a couple of drink tickets. You get access to the kids area, which has a lot of great things for the kids to do. There's 3 live bands coming, and it's all a donation to the Red Cross, so it's definitely worthwhile. And
the bands are pretty cool, too. A younger group, 441. Tell us a little bit about them.
441 came last year, and they were a huge hit with everyone. They're quite a unique band. They're 13, 14, and 15-year-olds from Penfield, which is where the name came from. And they play older music. I think they played some Led Zeppelin and that sort of thing. So the older crowd really enjoyed it, and then the kids loved it.
Right.
And my daughter was just infatuated with them, and we got a CD and had to listen to it all the way home. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll happen now and again.
Yeah.
Probably won't be the first time.
No.
And the other 2 groups you have, everybody knows Nick and the Nice Guys and the Invictus, but something is going to kind of happen that's unique.
Yeah. I mean, we were so thrilled to get both of those bands to come and play for us, but when they offered to all play together at the end, all 3 bands actually, I mean, that's just icing. So we can't wait to hear what they come up with.
But it's going to be the first time the Invictus and Nick and the Nice Guys have performed on stage ever?
First time in history.
Wow.
Yep.
And local heroes are going to be honored that day, too.
Yeah, we've got 5 local heroes in 5 different categories. So humanitarian hero, emergency response, military, animal rescue, and our blood hero. And those were all nominated by the public.
So you had something up online and people could nominate?
Yep. We had a form online, and we had judges from all different areas come converge. A couple of last year's winners actually were on the judging panel, and they selected this year's heroes.
And I know you got some great organizations that are donating food for the day or helping out with the food, but the Red Cross is also providing a little food too, aren't they?
Yeah, that's one maybe little known fact about the Red Cross. We have an in-house kitchen. We collaborate with Visiting Nurse Service to provide the Meals on Wheels program here in the greater Rochester area. And our chef for that program is actually a very, very great chef. He does a wonderful job with food, and he's going to be providing chicken wings and fruit and cookies and all kinds of great stuff. So it's definitely worth checking out his booth.
And all the proceeds help out not only disaster relief, but they help out locally. We talked with John a little bit earlier about the house fires at the American Red Cross. So the money's going to go to a great cause.
Right, absolutely. All of the money will go straight to helping disaster relief families right in our area.
How was the first festival last year?
It was great. We were really thrilled. You know, the first one, you never know how it's going to go, but
right.
People had a really good time. We really are looking forward to doubling it this year. So.
And tickets will be available day of as well?
Yeah, tickets will be available at the door. They're $25. So I don't know if you're one of those people who looks for the weather to see before you buy. You can still get tickets at the door.
Okay, cool. And again, where can I get tickets ahead of time?
If you want to get tickets ahead of time, it's rochesterredcross.org, and you can click on the festival icon on the homepage, and then you can certainly purchase at the door as well.
And John, how has social media helped the American Red Cross?
Well, it's really been a great tool to make people more aware of what we do and who we are through Facebook and Twitter and blogs that we run.
Can you imagine yourself a few years ago saying those?
Twitter? No.
I know, but you got to keep up with all this stuff.
I remember when the telephone had a wire connected to it.
Yeah, imagine that. And you have some mobile apps too, correct?
We do. We have Find a Shelter. So if there's shelters opening anywhere around a disaster, you can just download the app and find the shelter nearest you. I believe our Safe and Well program, where you can find if victims from a disaster are okay. They can register on Safe and Well, and you can check that from your phone.
So you just go to an app store and search American Red Cross, or how would you find that?
Yep, I believe they're available for both iPhone and Android. So.
Well, great. The second annual Red Cross Festival is coming up Saturday, June 16th from 1 to 6 at the Red Cross grounds at 50 Prince Street. Tickets still available. Tickets will be available at the door, too. And we'd like to thank CEO of the Greater Rochester Chapter of the American Red Cross, John Buttrill, and Assistant Director of Regional Marketing and Communications, Aaron Caldwell, for joining us. Hope for great Rochester weather that day.
We're keeping our fingers crossed.